Hey there, you are listening to the Traill Happy Box Hour, broadcasting through the facilities of Trent Radio at 92.7 CFFF FM in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. I'm Amanda Owen.
And I'm Meghan Ward, and we're your Happy Box Hour hosts.
And welcome to the Happy Box Hour, Wendy. It's nice to have you on, a fellow Trailite.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
It's a little different than traditional live radio since we do it all through Zoom, but nevertheless, it works. And so, Wendy, could you introduce yourself to listeners?
Yeah. So my name is Wendy Walker, and I'm the current president of the Trent Central Student Association, or the TCSA is what most people know it as. About me. I graduated last year. My degree was in English and history. And I've been involved in a whole bunch of things around Trent, like orientation. I was on cabinet for a bunch of years at Traill, so Traill's very dear to my heart. And last year I was a VP University and College Affairs, and now I'm the president of the TCSA. So student advocacy is a little bit of a passion of mine, and I just love giving back to the Trent community.
Lots of stuff going on for you. Yeah, I love that for you. Could you give a brief overview of what the TCSA is and sort of like what service you provide for Trent students? I'm sure most students would know what the services are, but maybe they don't know that you are the ones running it.
Yeah. TCSA, we are your undergraduate student union here on campus. We also have a graduate student union and then a student union in Durham that we all work with, advocating to the administration. So part of our job is to provide services for students. So this includes transit, health benefits plan, all those little things that you don't necessarily think about. We are the faces behind that. We also do a whole bunch of events and campaigns on campus for students that are relevant to issues happening. We also provide funding for students, which students can apply for on our website. Yeah, we gotta have our hands in all kinds of different buckets and doing a bunch of different things.
And so since you guys offer so many different resources and supports for students, how can students reach out for more support if they wanted something a little bit more specific?
Yeah, we are always happy to hear from students. All of our executive is students. We've all gone to Trent. Most of our staff has gone to Trent. So we want to stay relevant, and we're always happy to hear from students because ultimately we're students here working for you guys, for students. So if anyone wants to contact us about any ideas or events they want to run, they can honestly email us at info@trentcentral.ca, but they can email me directly at president@trentcentral.ca. They can come into the office, which is back open when we're all back on campus, and just stop in, talk to the front desk. We're just very nice people. We love talking. Just come in and connect with us. We're on the second floor of the Student Center above Starbucks as well. So very easy to find.
So convenient too, right beside Starbucks. Probably everybody goes there. It's so busy all the time.
Exactly. That's why I always use it as the marking point of how to get to the office. I'm if you know where Starbucks is, then you'll know where we are.
The caffeine central, the hub of campus. I'm so sad Tim Hortons isn't there anymore. Maybe we can advocate to reopen Tim Hortons again.
I miss Tim Hortons, and I miss my bagel ladies who are there. Tim Hortons was the jewel of OC.
It really was, and now it's not. So, a shame. And just as exciting as Tim Hortons, is there any exciting events or campaigns coming up for the TCSA? Anything noteworthy for students to maybe check out?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, February is coming up, so Black History Month is a huge thing that's happening across campus. We'll be running a whole bunch of different events. On the 13th at 1, we're going to be having a walk with the Diverse Nature Collective and some snowshoeing around campus, which is super nice. We're also having the founder of Black Lives Matter Canada come to campus on December 18th, and she's going to be doing a talk about Black joy. We're also doing a playlist for students featuring racialized artists and just kind of little events like that. Also, because February is Valentine's Day, we will be giving out candy grams in the office on the 14th. So come get some little snacks and stuff. Just some fun little things on the docket.
That's really cute. Yeah, just like important issues and then also fun candygrams. Love the mix. It's so fun.
You gotta have a good balance, you know?
Yeah. So if students have event ideas or anything they might like to see the TCSA do, can they reach out to the same people you were mentioning before, yourself and your executives?
Yeah, so they can reach out to us. Even if you email info@trendcentral.ca, it goes to our front desk and they can always like pass it off to like the appropriate person. So it doesn't matter who you email here at the TCSA, it will eventually find its way to the right person and they'll be able to help you. We're just always here. Even if we don't necessarily have the answer to your question, we can always point you in the right direction.
Okay, sounds good. And so it sounds like you have a super fun job, a lot of exciting things going on at the TCSA. So what would you say is the best part about being the president of the Student Association? Is there a favorite part?
There's a lot of good things. It's honestly a never a dull moment. I know every day I'm gonna wake up and have some kind of challenge to do, which is always super exciting and it keeps it really fresh. But probably the best part of my job would just be helping students and like receiving that good feedback from them when you know that you've really helped them. So like, for example, I'm in charge of a lot of the funding lines that the association does. So sometimes I get emails from students like thanking them for the help, and it just like makes all of the bad parts of my job worth it because I know that I'm making a positive impact, and that's really the best part, is helping students.
For sure. And so there's the Freedom Lounge that recently just opened in the Student Center. And so could you give some listeners like the brief overview of like what the space is and the purpose of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Freedom Lounge was our huge project that we did this summer. I worked super close with our VP campaign, Zoe, as well as our BIPOC student organizer, Mariah, who are both super awesome gals. And they helped bring this vision to life that we've had. So basically, we converted the old clubs and group space, which is right across from our office, into a lounge focused on BIPOC and racialized students. We recognized a need to have a space dedicated to these students, just because the rest of campus is predominantly white. Trent's a white school. So we wanted to really have a space that focused on these students and really highlighted important aspects and like things that are important to them, and just so that way they had a safe space to come together. So that was kind of the idea behind it. We officially opened it in September, and since then we have been running a whole bunch of events and kind of different little pieces that go with that. So we run our beading circle once a month, run by Zoe and Mariah, which is fantastic. And they teach students not just traditional like Indigenous beading, but beading from across the world. They also team up with Black peer support a lot of the time, as well as the Association of Black Students. They run lots of events. So it's just a good place to like come together and kind of have those important conversations and really highlight the diversity of campus.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like it's a great project, and it's nice to see something like that happening on campus for sure. And it was so fun chatting with you today. And so is there anything else you would like to share with listeners before we end off?
Oh gosh, okay. If students are ever questioning like, what does the TCSA do? Or just have questions about anything related to the school or the university, we are here for them. Like I said before, we're students helping students. I don't want any students to like feel nervous about contacting us, because I know it can seem really intimidating to talk to the president of the student union, but I'm very much a normal person. And I'm always happy to help people, like even those simple questions, like that's my job to help you. Like I'm here to answer those, and I'm here to make sure that your experience at Trent is everything that it should be. So like any issues or like things happening, we're your people to talk to.
Awesome. And I can confirm Wendy's very friendly and very kind. So go hang out and chat with her.
Thank you so much.
And it was so fun having you on today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Amanda. If you're just joining us, you're listening to the Traill Happy Box Hour, broadcasting through the facilities of Trent Radio at 92.7 CFFF FM in Peterborough. My name is Meghan Ward, and joining us today is Meghan. Meghan, can you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Hi, Meghan. Thank you. So my name is Meghan Aoki, and I am a PhD candidate in my final year of study in the Environmental and Life Sciences graduate program here at Trent. I was born and raised in Wisconsin, which means that all I knew growing up was dairy farms, cheese, and the Packers. So I did my undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin, and midway through my studies, I actually transferred all of my credits up to finish my degree in Canada at Trent. And since then, I've kind of just continued school. So I started with my master's and I converted to do my PhD, and that brings us to present time.
Oh, nice. So almost all your education's been here at Trent. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just actually realized that I've spent now a quarter of my life here at Trent. So
that's scary.
yeah, thinking about when I finish, I'm like, what do I do now? Like all I've known my whole life is basically school. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I did my undergrad at Trent too, and I'm just starting my master's. So maybe I'll follow suit.
Yes.
So can you give us a brief overview of the research that you're doing for your PhD?
Sure. So my research is all about exploring the roles of molecules, specifically a class of signaling molecules known as cytokinins. And so cytokinins are most commonly known in plants as phytohormones or plant hormones, and they're virtually involved in basically all aspects of plant growth and development. And so interestingly, these hormones or signaling molecules are found everywhere we look for them. So if you look in bacteria, bacteria produce them, all the way to humans. We actually produce them ourselves. So my research looks at exploring the roles of these molecules in non-plant systems, specifically looking at what they do outside of plants, why they're even prevalent in other organisms. And I use the soil microbe and social amoeba known as Dictyostelium discoideum to study the functions of cytokinins. And I specifically use this organism too, because right about the time I was starting my master's, a new prof moved to Trent who studies this organism. And so he kind of brought the organism into Trent, and it just kind of like happened opportunistically where there was a gap in what I was going to study for my master's. And then this new prof came with this organism that produces cytokinins, and not a lot was known about it. And so basically from there, I just started studying the roles of cytokinins outside of plants in this organism.
Nice. So everything just lined up pretty well for you then.
It really did. Yeah, it was very
awesome. So why do plants have hormones? And does that mean if plants do have hormones, that hormones impact more than just emotions in humans?
Okay, so this is a big question. So plants in general actually have 9 different classes of hormones that are recognized currently. This kind of number goes up through time as we know more about hormones. And so these 9 different classes of hormones, they influence basically every part of plant function and defense. So I think in general, usually when we think of hormones, we all kind of think of hormones in humans because we're normally taught about hormones in humans. So if we look at kind of just the definition of hormone, it's a signaling molecule that acts at a distant site from where it was created. So in general, common examples of these that we all know are insulin, cortisol, melatonin, etc. So just to kind of highlight an example of insulin. So it's produced in the pancreas in response to your body sensing high blood sugar. Then it gets released into your bloodstream where it then helps other cells in your body to take up glucose from your bloodstream to metabolize it and therefore decrease blood glucose levels. And so in general, humans have 50 different types of hormones, which are often emphasized, and that's why we kind of think of hormones constantly being in only humans. But all of these hormones in humans, they're regulating some important aspects of growth, development, metabolism, cognitive function, etc. And so in general, hormones are essential for survival and well-being. But then coming back to plants, plants have hormones for the same reasons that we have them. So plants use them for defense, they use them for immunity, they use them for growth and development. And so they're all of these specific hormones that plants need to grow and survive. And so beyond plants, other organisms would have similar molecules that are essential for regulating these different aspects of growth and development. So in fact, kind of all things have hormones. It's just that they're kind of just called different things. So in some organisms, like quorum sensing molecules, it's kind of the same concept. So that's what we would call like a bacteria hormone. And so, yeah, they're just called different things, but they're kind of the same concept. So all organisms just need some molecule to basically allow them to have the signal to grow or adapt to whatever current stressor is in place. Yeah.
Right. And so I guess the stressors can change between different organisms, but you still have to have something there to respond to that. And that's often hormones. Cool. So you mentioned you're using cytokinins. Can you describe what the role of that is in plants?
Sure. So cytokinins in general, one of the earliest and most well-known roles of cytokinins is the promotion of growth and or cell division. And so this role was first identified in the 1950s. And since that time, our understanding of cytokinin in plants has come a really long way. So we now know that cytokinins regulate basically all aspects of plant growth and development. So they regulate leaf and shoot growth, they regulate organogenesis, so the development of different tissue types in plants. They delay senescence, so cell death. They're involved in nodulation in roots, vascular development, pathogen interactions, nutrient acquisition. So they like control different nitrate, phosphate, sulfates, and that nutrients in the soil to allow plants to get their nutrients. Basically like any part of plant growth and development they're involved in. And so because of the widespread role of cytokinins, cytokines are actually widely used for agricultural purposes too. So they can be applied to crops to increase yield of certain fruits. They also can help plants be grown in drought conditions. Interestingly, they've also been found to have anti-aging effects. So there's actually cosmetics and skincare products out there that put cytokinins in them, and people put them on a skin cream because of their known anti-aging effects. Some other odd things that they're used for. So they can be used in like biofertilizers. So now a lot of people like to put different kind of biologically active or like micro-based fertilizers onto plants to help stimulate their growth. And a lot of these different organisms that they're putting as biofertilizers actually are high cytokinin producing organisms. And so they're kind of people and industries are taking advantage of this known role of cytokinins in like plant growth promoting effects and using them as like fertilizers. And lastly, they're also, they can be applied to different crops or fruits kind of post-harvest because once they're applied, they can help basically keep the fruit quality, delay the senescence so your fruit stays ripe longer without like rotting, etc. So they have like a wide variety of different roles.
That's amazing. I had no idea they played so many different roles. One side question, do you use cytokinins in your moisturizer or are you not for that yet?
I mean, I probably have in the past. I didn't notice.
That is so cool. I didn't realize they had so many different roles in so many like cosmetics, in agriculture, potentially in medicine. Like that is very cool. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, honestly, the more I study them, the more I realize they're just in everything.
Yeah, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know enough.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So jumping back to when you talked about your overview of your research, you said you're using dictyostelium to learn more about where these hormones originated. So why did you choose that microbe to study? Why not pick something else?
Right. So I kind of hinted at this a bit. So I did an undergrad honors thesis at Trent. And at the time I was studying under Dr. Neil Emery and Dr. Craig Brunetti. So Dr. Emery, he kind of studies cytokinins in a wide variety of organisms, but he first started with looking at them in plants. And then Dr. Brunetti, we kind of merged expertise because he does a lot of work in mammalian cell lines. And so he doesn't have like cytokinin background, but he has like human health kind of like related research going on in his lab. And so I kind of merged their expertise and looked at the roles of cytokinins in mammalian systems to see if mammalian cells, if you apply cytokinin to them, can actually process them. And so that was the basis for my undergrad thesis, which I found that cells can actually process cytokinins so they can metabolize them. And then in the summer I was going to do my master's, but I didn't really have like an end goal yet of what I wanted to study for my master's. And so at that time, that's when this new professor came to Trent, so Dr. Robert Huber, and he uses dictyostelium to study neurological disorders. So he uses a non-human organism to study, which actually without a nervous system, which is interesting, to study basically neurological disorders, specifically Batten disease. But anyway, so in that summer, I kind of researched what was known about cytokinins in dictyostelium. And it was found that they do make cytokinins. So I already knew that they were there, but there wasn't a lot known. And then also they had this interesting thing where they made this novel type of cytokinin that isn't found in any other organism. So there was like something unique about it too. So it all kind of just came into place, and it was like a hard opportunity to not study, because so often when you're trying to research something, you need to find like a gap in knowledge. And there was a massive gap in knowledge for using this organism. And all of a sudden it was like right at my fingertips. And so, yeah, it was really easy decision to study.
That's awesome. So what is the overall goal of all of your research? I feel like there's so many different ways that the research you're doing can apply to a bunch of different fields. So do you have like one big goal, or you have a bunch of smaller goals?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this question, and if I were to answer this when I first started my degree, I think it would be like a cliche scientist response where you like instantly adapt to this monotone robot voice and state something like, the goal of my research is to expand our understanding of the role of cytokinins in non-plant organisms so that we can better understand blah, blah, blah. And so, I mean, that is largely the answer to this question. And I do like seek to understand the role of cytokinins in non-plant systems, because I do find that really, really fascinating, like why these hormones are in so many different organisms. But also at the same time, you kind of hinted at what you said before. So even though I want to understand the role of cytokinins, like it's just like the knowledge that will come out of my PhD is just this like my tiny little missing puzzle piece in like the massive puzzle we call biology. So I find like through my research, like you're saying, you're fascinated by the many different roles of these hormones. They seem to be involved in anything you look at. And so like the idea that like one individual molecule has such an insane number of roles, both in plants and beyond plants, like I just find that really fascinating. And how like one molecule can have so many different biological functions is just, yeah, I find that mind blowing. So I guess it's just kind of opened my eyes to like show how complex everything is and that there's so much more to know. So like I do obviously want to expand our knowledge in my robotic science voice of what these hormones are doing in so many different systems, but it's really just like this tiny little dot, and like everything biologically is just so interconnected. So yeah, just filling that like puzzle piece and just kind of seeing the greater picture of everything, that's kind of my goal of it. So maybe more of a personal goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have personal goals and the classic, I want to do whatever for my project.
Yeah.
All scientists have to say that they're excited for, which like sure you are, but I think it's cool when like people like you are very passionate about what you're actually studying. And I think it'll be really cool to do what you said, see that puzzle piece all come together and how it sort of changes a bunch of other things we know about science and plant hormones. And obviously a lot more than just plant hormones, because it interacts with so many different avenues of life.
Yeah.
So this may be hard because you said you combined your master's with your PhD, or you transferred. So you've had a lot of graduate studies so far, but what has been the best part or one of the best parts of grad studies for you so far?
Okay, so I would say that it's all of the connections that you make along the way. So I find being a student is magical, and it's probably why I haven't stopped going to school for my existence. But I think too, Trent is a part of that because it's just such a small kind of like tight-knit community. And I found, at least in my own research, that anyone you ask for questions like is so willing to help. And I've had some major like pitfalls in my experiments and my research along the way where I'm trying to develop protocols and different methods that have never been developed. And I like had a 2-year period of time where I just could not develop this protocol to knock out a gene in my organism. And then I just started reaching out to everyone who's ever knocked out a gene in any organism known to man, like worldwide.
It's a lot of emails.
Yeah, I emailed everyone that was willing to talk to me. And I just had like the most amazing experience through that. So like beyond Trent too, just people like when you just ask for help, and like it's just been really, really awesome to feel so supported by people that I don't even know, and people I do know as well in like all of my different labs. So that on a personal level has been very uplifting because like any research is incredibly challenging, and it takes a toll on you. So to just have that many people help you is it's a really truly like special experience.
Yeah.
But then too, at the same time, just like on a personal level for my studies, like I just find when you study something so intensely, you can kind of get like really narrow-minded, and like you end up knowing so much about like a really tiny subject matter. But at the end, like the more you know, the less you know. And so I just find that like really like motivating. Like it's like addicting. You just want to keep knowing more. So
yeah, you'll never run out of things to research for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why degrees go on forever. So I'm trying to stop that right now. Yeah.
That's fair. Well, This was a super awesome conversation, and I feel like people are going to have more questions for you, or they're at least going to want to know sort of more in detail what you're doing. So if they do want to learn more, where should people look?
Yeah, so on my personal level, so I kind of try to keep my research up to date on my LinkedIn. So just under my name, Meghan on LinkedIn. But then we also, 2 of my supervisors have websites too. So my one supervisor, Dr. Emery, his website is emerylab.com. And then one of my other supervisors, Dr. Huber, he has a website as well at huberlab.ca. And then unfortunately, Dr. Vernetti doesn't have a website, but he has like a page on Trentu that you can look at his research as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the Grad Student Podcast. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
And thank you everyone else for tuning in to the Traill Happy Box Hour, broadcasting through the facilities of Trent Radio at 92.7 CFFF FM in Peterborough, Canada. My name is Meghan Ward, and we look forward to chatting next week. Check out Traill College on Instagram for more #TrailWow content at Traill College. Bye for now.